Hello, family. God bless you. Hope everyone is doing well. We will pick up, continuing on in the book of Jubilee at chapter 44. Israel took his journey from Haran's house on the new moon of the third month, and he stopped at the well of the oath on the way, and he offered a sacrifice to the God of his father Isaac on the seventh of this month. Jacob remembered the dream that he had at Bethel, and he feared to go down into Egypt. He was thinking of sending word to Joseph to come to him because he did not want to go down. He remained there 7 days, hoping fate would permit him to see a vision as to whether he should remain or go down. He celebrated the harvest festival of the first fruits with old grain, because in all the land of Canaan there was not a handful of seed in the ground, because the famine was affecting all the beasts and cattle and birds and all men. On the 16th, the Lord appeared to him and said to him, "Jacob, Jacob." And he said, "Here I am." And he said to him, "I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham and Isaac. Do not be afraid to go down into Egypt, because I will be there to make you a great nation. I will go down with you, and I will bring you up again. You will be buried in this land, and Joseph will put his hands on your eyes. Do not be afraid. Go down into Egypt." And his sons got up and placed their father and their possessions on wagons. Israel got up from the well of the oath on the 16th of this third month, and he went to the land of Egypt. Israel sent Judah before him to his son Joseph to examine the land of Goshen, because Joseph had told his brothers that they should come and live there so they could be near him. This was the best land in Egypt. It was near to him and suitable for all of the cattle they had. These are the names of the sons of Jacob who went into Egypt with Jacob, their father: Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, and his sons Enoch and Palu and Hezron and Carmi, making 5. Simon and his sons Jemuel and Jamin and Ohad and Jachin and Zohar and Shaul, the son of the Zephonite woman, making 7. Levi and his sons Gershon and Kohath and Merari, making 4. Judah and his sons Shelah and Perez and Zerah, making 4. Issachar and his sons Tola and Phua and Jasub and Shimron, making 5. Zebulun and his sons Shered and Elon and Jalil, making 4. These are the sons of Jacob and their sons whom Leah bore to Jacob in Mesopotamia, 6, and there's one sister, Dinah, and all the souls of the sons of Leah, and their sons, who went with Jacob their father into Egypt, 29 souls, and Jacob, making 30, were the number of people that went into Egypt. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, the wife of Jacob, who bore to Jacob Gad and Asher, and their sons who went with him into Egypt. The sons of Gad are Ziphion, and Haggai, and Shuni, and Esbon, and Eri, and Arli, and Aradi, which make 8 souls in total. The sons of Asher are Imnah, and Ishva, and Ishvi, and Beriah, and Sarah, and their one sister, which makes 6 in total. All the souls were 14, and all those of Leah were 44. The sons of Rachel, the wife of Jacob, are Joseph and Benjamin. There were born to Joseph in Egypt before his father came into Egypt, those whom Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, priest of Heliopolis, gave birth to him, Manasseh and Ephraim. The wife and children of Joseph totaled 3. The sons of Benjamin, Bela and Becher, and Ashbel, Jerah and Naaman, and Ehi, and Rosh, and Muppim, and Huppim, and Ard with Benjamin totaled 11. And all the souls of Rachel were 14. The sons of Bilhah, the handmaid of Rachel, the wife of Jacob, whom she gave birth to Jacob, were Dan and Naphtali. These are the names of their sons who went with them into Egypt. The sons of Dan were Hushim and Salmon, and Ashuda, and Ijaka and Solomon, all totaling 6. All but one died the year in which they entered into Egypt, and there was left to Dan only Hushim. These are the names of the sons of Naphtali: Jazil, and Guni, and Jezer, and Shalom, and Ive. And Ive, who was born after the years of famine, died in Egypt. All the souls of Rachel were 26. All the souls of Jacob, which went into Egypt, were 70 souls. These are his children and his children's children, in all 70. But 5 died in Egypt in the time of Joseph's rule, and they had no children. In the land of Canaan, 2 sons of Judah died, and Onan, and they had no children. And the children of Israel buried those who died, and they were counted among the 70 Gentile nations. Chapter 45. On the new moon of the 4th month, in the 2nd year of the 3rd week of the 45th Jubilee, Israel went into the country of Egypt, to the land of Goshen. Joseph went to meet his father, Jacob, in the land of Goshen, and he hugged his father's neck and wept. Israel said to Joseph, "Now that I have seen you, let me die, and may the Lord God of Israel, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, who has not withheld his mercy and his grace from his servant Jacob, be blessed. It is enough for me to have seen your face while I am yet alive. Yes, this is the true vision which I saw at Bethel. Blessed be the Lord my God forever and ever, and blessed be his name." Joseph and his brothers ate bread in the presence of their father and drank wine. And Jacob rejoiced with very great joy because he saw Joseph eating with his brothers and drinking in the presence of him. And he blessed the Creator of all things, who had preserved him, and had preserved for him his 12 sons. Joseph had given his father and his brothers as a gift the right of dwelling in the land of Goshen, and in Ramesses, and all the region around it, which he ruled over in the presence of Pharaoh. Israel and his sons dwelt in the land of Goshen, the best part of the land of Egypt. And Israel was 130 years old when he came into Egypt. Joseph nourished his father and his brothers, and also their possessions, with bread as much as they needed for the 7 years of the famine. The land of Egypt became available for purchase because of the famine, and Joseph acquired all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh in return for food. And he got possession of the people and their cattle and everything for Pharaoh. The years of the famine were completed, and Joseph gave the people in the land seed and food that they might sow the land in the 8th year, because the river had overflowed all the land of Egypt. For in the 7 years of the famine, it had not overflowed and had not irrigated only a few places on the banks of the river. But now it overflowed, and the Egyptians sowed the land, and it produced much corn that year. It was the first year of the 4th week of the 45th Jubilee. Joseph took 1/5 of the corn of the harvest for the king, and left four parts for them for food and for seed. And Joseph made it a law for Egypt until this day. Israel lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, and all the days which he lived were 3 jubilees, 147 years, and he died in the 4th year of the 5th week of the 45th Jubilee. Israel blessed his sons before he died and told them everything that they would go through in the land of Egypt. He revealed to them what they would live through in the last days, and he blessed them and gave Joseph 2 portions of the land. He slept with his fathers, and he was buried in the double cave in the land of Canaan, near Abraham, his father, in the grave which he dug for himself in the land of Hebron. And he gave all his books and the books of his fathers to Levi, his son, so that he might preserve them and replicate them for his children until this day. Chapter 46. It happened that after the death of Jacob, the children of Israel continued to multiply in the land of Egypt, and they became a great nation, and they were in one accord of heart, so that brother loved the brother, and every man helped his brother. They increased abundantly and multiplied greatly. 10 weeks of years, all the days of the life of Joseph. There was neither Satan nor any evil in all the days of the life of Joseph after his father, Jacob, because all the Egyptians respected the children of Israel all the days of the life of Joseph. Joseph died being 110 years old. He lived 17 years in the land of Canaan, and 10 years he was a servant, and 3 years in prison, and 80 years he was under the king, ruling all the land of Egypt. He died, and so did all his brothers and all that generation. But he commanded the children of Israel before he died that they should carry his bones with them when they went out from the land of Egypt. And he made them swear regarding his bones, because he knew that the Egyptians would not bring his bones out of Egypt or bury him in the land of Canaan. Because while dwelling in the land of Assyria, King butchering this one up, King Macamaran, the king of Canaan, fought against Egypt in the valley and killed the king of Egypt there and pursued the Egyptians to the gates of Erman. But he was not able to enter because another king, a new king, had become king of Egypt, and he was stronger than he, and he returned to the land of Canaan. And the gates of Egypt were closed so that none came or went from Egypt. Joseph died in the 46th Jubilee, in the 6th week, in the 2nd year. And they buried him in the land of Egypt, and all his brothers died after him. The king of Egypt went to war against the king of Canaan. In the 47th Jubilee, in the 2nd week, in the 2nd year, the children of Israel brought out all the bones of the children of Jacob, except the bones of Joseph, and they buried them in the field, in the double cave in the mountain. Then most of them returned to Egypt, but a few of them remained in the mountains of Hebron, and Amram, your father, remained with them. The king of Canaan was victorious over the king of Egypt, and he closed the gates of Egypt. He devised an evil plan against the children of Israel to afflict them. He said to the people of Egypt, "Look, the people of the children of Israel have increased and multiplied more than we. Let us use wisdom and deal with them before they become too many. Let us make them our slaves before we go to war and they rise up against us on the side of our enemies. Before they leave and fight against us, let us do this because their hearts and faces are towards the land of Canaan." He set over them taskmasters to enforce slavery, and they built strong cities for Pharaoh, Pithom and Ramesses. And they built all the walls and all the fortifications which had fallen in the cities of Egypt. They enslaved them with harshness, and the more they were evil toward them, the more they increased and multiplied. And the people of Egypt despised the children of Israel, our family. Oh, man. Chapter 47. In the 7th week, in the 7th year, in the 47th Jubilee, your father went out from the land of Canaan, and you were born in the 4th week, in the 6th year of it, in the 48th Jubilee. This was the time of tribulation for the children of Israel. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, issued a command ordering them to throw all their newborn male children into the river. And they threw them into the river for 7 months until the day that you were born. It is said that your mother hid you for 3 months. She made an ark for you and covered it with pitch and tar and placed it in the reeds on the bank of the river. She placed you in it 7 days. Your mother came by night and nursed you. By day, Miriam, your sister, guarded you from the birds. In those days, Tharmuth, the daughter of Pharaoh, came to bathe in the river, and she heard you crying. She told her maids to bring you out, and they brought you to her. She took you out of the ark, and she had compassion on you. Your sister said to her, "Shall I go and call to you one of the Hebrew women to nurse this baby for you?" And she said to her, "Go." Your sister went and called your mother, Jochebed, and Pharaoh's daughter gave her wages, and she nursed you. Afterwards, when you grew up, they brought you to the daughter of Pharaoh, and you became her son. Amram, your father, taught you writing. After you had completed 3 weeks, they brought you into the royal court. You were 3 weeks of years at court until the time when you went out from the royal court and saw an Egyptian beating your friend who was of the children of Israel, and you killed him and hid him in the sand. On the second day, you came across 2 children of Israel quarreling together, and you asked the one who was doing wrong, "Why did you hit your brother?" He was angry and indignant and said, "Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you want to kill me like you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" You were afraid and you fled on because of these words. Chapter 48. In the 6th year of the 3rd week of the 49th Jubilee, you fled and went to live in the land of Midian for 5 weeks and 1 year. You returned to Egypt in the 2nd week, in the 2nd year, in the 15th Jubilee. In the 50th Jubilee. You know what he said to you on Mount Sinai, and what Prince Mastema desired to do with you when you returned to Egypt. Did he not seek to kill you with all his power and to deliver the Egyptians from your hand when he saw that you were sent to execute judgment and to take revenge on the Egyptians? But I delivered you out of his hand, and you performed the signs and wonders which you were sent to perform in Egypt against Pharaoh, and against all of his household, and against his servants and his people. The Lord exacted a great vengeance on them for Israel's sake, and struck them through the plagues of blood, frogs, lice, dog flies, malignant boils, breaking out in pustules, the death of their cattle, and the plague of hailstones. He destroyed everything that grew from them by the plagues of locusts, which devoured the remainder left by the hail, and by darkness, and by the death of the firstborn of men and animals. The Lord took vengeance on all of their idols and burned them with fire. Everything was sent through your hand, that you should declare these things before they were done. You spoke with the king of Egypt in the presence of all his servants and in the presence of his people, and everything took place according to your words. 10 great and terrible judgments came on the land of Egypt, so that you might execute vengeance on Egypt for Israel. And the Lord did everything for Israel's sake, according to his covenant, which he had ordained with Abraham. He took vengeance on them because they had brought them by force into bondage. Prince Mastema stood against you and sought to deliver you into the hands of Pharaoh. He helped the Egyptian sorcerers when they stood up and committed the evil acts they did in your presence. Indeed, we permitted them to work, but the remedies we did not allow to be worked by their hands. The Lord struck them with malignant ulcers, and they were not able to stand. They could not perform a single sign because we destroyed them. Even after all of these signs and wonders, Prince Mastema was not put to shame because he took courage and cried to the Egyptians to pursue you with all the power of the Egyptians, with all the power the Egyptians had, and with their chariots, and with their horses, and with all the hosts of the peoples of Egypt. But I stood between the Egyptians and Israel, and we delivered Israel out of his hand and out of the hand of his people. The Lord brought them through the middle of the sea as if it were dry land. The Lord our God, through all the people whom he brought to pursue Israel into the middle of the sea, into the depths of the bottomless pit. Beneath the children of Israel, even as the people of Egypt had thrown their children into the river, he took vengeance on the 1 million of them. In addition to 1,000 strong and energetic men were destroyed because of the death of the suckling children of your people, which they had thrown into the river. On the 14th day, and on the 15th, and on the 16th, and on the 17th, and on the 18th days, Prince Mastema was bound and imprisoned and placed behind the children of Israel so that he might not accuse them. On the 19th day, we let them loose so that they might help the Egyptians pursue the children of Israel. He hardened their hearts and made them stubborn, and the plan was devised by the Lord our God that he might strike the Egyptians and throw them into the sea. On the 14th day, we bound him that he might not accuse the children of Israel on the day when they asked the Egyptians for vessels and garments, vessels of silver and vessels of gold and vessels of bronze, in order to exact from the Egyptians a price in return for the bondage they had been forced to serve. We did not lead the children of Israel from Egypt empty-handed. Thank you for listening, family. God bless you all.